Trump is back, and his foreign policy earthquake is shaking NATO, the Middle East, and U.S. alliances, and nowhere feels it more than the Eastern Mediterranean. At the heart of it all, Greece, locked in a bitter clash with Turkey over airspace, waters, and energy. And one unexpected move could change everything. In this video, we'll explore how Trump's choices might destabilize the region or hand Greece an unexpected strategic advantage. Trump's comeback to the White House isn't just about domestic politics. It's shaking up the global order. America First is back, and this time with even sharper edges. Back in 2016, that meant pulling out of international agreements, slashing funding to global institutions, and demanding NATO allies pay more. Now in 2025, the stakes are even higher, and so are the ripple effects. Let's start with NATO. Trump sees it less as a brotherhood and more as a business deal. If allies don't hit the 2% defense spending target, why should the US pick up the tab? In his first term, it was just tough talk. This time, it feels like a real ultimatum. Analysts warn that if Trump decides to limit US support, countries on the front lines, such as Poland, Greece, Baltics, could be left exposed. Then there's Ukraine. Trump has always questioned the billions flowing to Kiev. With war fatigue spreading, he could push for a deal with Moscow. That could freeze the conflict, but it also gives Russia space to reassert its power. And every time Russia gains ground, Turkey gains leverage. Acting as a go-between for East and West, Ankara could walk away stronger with both Moscow and Washington. And that's a headache for Greece. A more confident Turkey means heightened tensions in the Aegean, particularly around airspace rights, maritime claims, and control over energy exploration. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, Trump's style is pure transactional: oil, arms, and quick wins. The Iran deal is dead, the Abraham Accords may expand, and US peacekeeping isn't a priority. That leaves Europe facing the fallout if the region explodes. Bottom line, Trump's return redraws the map of alliances. The world just became more unpredictable.
I've been advocating for quite some time about the need to create some joint European borrowing facility to cover what I consider the quintessential European public good, which is common European defense. And I do sense that there is much more momentum now amongst my colleagues. Some of the countries that were inherently against the idea of additional further joint borrowing have changed their mind. And I'm pretty sure that Germany will eventually also agree to this necessity. And we need to make sure that this facility finances projects of common interest. And I would put missile defense, drone defense, right up there in terms of our collective European priorities. So I would expect some movement soon. We have 2 European councils, and hopefully we can make progress towards that direction.
And here's the question. If NATO starts to wobble under Trump, who steps in to keep the balance between Greece and Turkey? For decades, NATO has been the stabilizer between Greece and Turkey, 2 rivals forced to sit at the same table. But if Washington questions its NATO commitments, it creates a power vacuum. And in this region, vacuums don't last long. Turkey plays a dangerous double game, still a NATO ally on paper, but increasingly cozy with Russia. That gives Ankara leverage on both sides and puts Greece in a tough spot. But Greece isn't helpless. In fact, it's one of NATO's most valuable players. The US maintains key bases at Suda Bay in Crete and Alexandroupoli in northern Greece, both critical for projecting power in the Mediterranean and Black Sea. And unlike many allies, Greece actually spends big on defense, close to 3% of GDP, nearly double the EU average of 1.6%, and one of the highest in Europe. Meanwhile, the European Union is trying to stand on its own feet. With the European Defence Fund, over 1 billion euros in 2025, and the massive Rearm Europe plan worth 800 billion euros, Brussels is pushing to cut its dependency on outsiders, especially the US. If even a fraction of that flows toward Greece's projects, that's a golden opportunity to modernize its navy, expand drones, and upgrade satellites and fighter jets with EU cash. So the takeaway is simple. NATO may be shaky, but that just makes Greece more central to Europe's new defense strategy.
Mr. President has said that, yes, I believe in the peace efforts that President Trump is leading, and together
against sanctions against Turkey
Couple things.
could be very soon.
Mr.
If we have a
Minister,
good meeting, almost immediately. It gets worse. It gets worse. And it'll be a point where other people won't take it. Yeah, we're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries are, I mean, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything.
One of the trickiest pieces on Trump's chessboard, Turkey. His relationship with President Erdogan has always been warm, but unpredictable. Back in his first term, Trump often praised Erdogan as a strong leader, even while Turkey defied US by buying Russia S-400 missile systems. That double game strained NATO, but Trump seemed willing to look the other way. Fast forward to today, and Turkey is even messier. The lira has collapsed, inflation is crushing the middle class, and Erdogan has tightened his grip by cracking down on critics, most notably arresting Istanbul's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, a leading opposition figure and potential rival. On paper, Turkey's a NATO ally. In reality, it's walking a tightrope between Washington and Moscow, while cracking down harder at home. And then there's the arms question. Under Biden, US approval of new F-16 fighter jets for Turkey was delayed, mainly out of concern for Greece's security. Trump, however, might take a very different view. If he greenlights the sale, Ankara will get dozens of modernized F-16s, significantly boosting its air power in the Aegean, and that's when everything could change overnight. For Greece, that's a nightmare scenario, suddenly facing a more aggressive and better equipped rival across the water. But Athens isn't sitting still. Greece has been modernizing its forces at a record pace, buying Rafale jets from France, new French frigates, and upgrading its F-16 fleet. Defense spending is already one of the highest in Europe, nearly 3% of GDP. Modernization isn't optional, it's urgent. Still, weapons can only go so far. If Turkey gets the green light, Greece will lean on diplomacy to balance the scales. It's building a network of alliances, with France signing defense agreements and running joint military exercises, with Israel collaborating on energy projects and security initiatives, and with Egypt strengthening ties on maritime security and energy exploration. France, Israel, Egypt. Greece is building a squad nobody wants to mess with. In a Trump world where alliances are all about the deal, Greece has to prove it's the partner Washington and the whole region just can't ignore. There's another arena where Athens could pull ahead: energy. The Eastern Mediterranean is packed with natural gas, and suddenly this region is one of the hottest energy hubs in the world. Trump's return makes this even more interesting. He loves US corporate interests, which means companies like ExxonMobil, already drilling off Crete, are front and center. Turkey, meanwhile, keeps US firms at arm's length, making Greece look like the safer, more attractive partner. Then there's the East Med pipeline. With Trump in the mix, it isn't just a project, it's a power move. Natural gas from Israel and Cyprus, flowing through Greece, straight to Europe. It's stalled now, thanks to Turkish pushback, but Trump's policies could breathe new life into the project, giving Athens a huge strategic win. And don't forget Trump's exceptional relationship with Netanyahu. Israel-Turkey relations are icy, which positions Greece perfectly to strengthen the Israel-Cyprus-Greece energy and security alliance. They're coordinating on pipelines, defense, and regional influence like never before. Russia is the wild card. Any deal between Trump and Putin could shake up gas markets and pipeline politics, forcing Ankara and Athens to adjust fast. In short, with massive energy reserves, US corporate backing, and solid regional alliances, Greece could become the Eastern Mediterranean's key power player. Of course, Greece isn't out of the woods yet. Trump's diplomacy is famously unpredictable, and a closer US-Turkey relationship could shake up the balance in the Aegean. Ankara's assertiveness, combined with the possibility of new F-16 or other military support, keeps the pressure high. Still, the opportunities are enormous. Greece sits on energy riches, hosts key US bases, and is benefiting from Europe's push for greater defense autonomy. Add in the growing trilateral alliance with Israel and Cyprus, and Athens suddenly has more cards than ever to play. So how can Greece actually leverage these advantages? First, it can continue modernizing its military. Jets, frigates, drones, satellites, to project strength. Second, by strengthening key regional alliances, coordinating with France on defense initiatives, working with Israel and Cyprus on energy and security, and collaborating with Egypt on maritime projects. Third, by leveraging EU defense programs to secure cutting-edge technology and long-term strategic support. The catch? Timing and moves. Trump's unpredictable, deal-driven style makes the game tricky, but play it right, and Greece could go from regional player to major power in Europe's energy and defense game. The Eastern Mediterranean isn't just a hotspot, it's Greece's chance to call the shots and secure its place at the table. In a world of transactional Trump deals, Greece has one chance to prove it can't be ignored, but will Athens play its cards right? What do you think? Can Greece become the Eastern Mediterranean's key power player? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.